You're listening to Men of Abundance, episode 242. Today is Pay It Forward Friday. And did you realize that ghost stories are killing your dreams and goals for abundance and prosperity?
Welcome to Men of Abundance, the podcast for those looking to level up their lives by hanging out with some of the greatest leaders and established professionals in our community, living a life of integrity, honor, and the abundance mentality. Prepare to pay it forward with your host, former Army medic turned lifestyle entrepreneur, Wally Carmichael.
What is going on, Men of Abundance? I am Wally Carmichael, your founder and host of the Men of Abundance podcast, the Pay It Forward community, where we are proving to you that you can, in fact, live your life of abundance and prosperity in family, faith, finances, and fitness. You just have to get out of your own way. You have to improve and enhance your mindset. And I do this primarily by having amazing conversations with other abundant leaders throughout the world who are living their life of abundance in one way or another and in their own right and paying it forward somehow. And of course, I asked them to share that kick in the gut moment that really took them to their knees so that we can feel that and then share with us what they learned from that event, from that significant emotional event. Now, those are the interview sessions. Today is Pay It Forward Friday, where I just basically share a few thoughts that's going on. Now, today, as I record this, I am at PodFest Expo in Orlando, Florida, with some amazing, just simply amazing people that are sharing their stories. You know, one of the things I like most about podcast hosts and people that started their own podcast, now there are a few out there who started it for a business and they're trying to lift up their business in one way or another. But ultimately, across the board, anybody who has started a podcast has an amazing story of adversity. Many of them have just these amazing stories of adversity and how they overcame that and really just started living this amazing life of abundance, or at least really kind of got it figured out for themselves. And they want to share their message with others. So that's what they do. And there's people that are here. I mean, I've met people here that are talking about everything from real estate to mindset to health issues, specifically for women, specifically for kids. One actually has a podcast that she helps parents get their kids to sleep at a respectable time so that they can get some sleep. I mean, it just goes on and on. It's so amazing. And I've had the opportunity to talk to so many different people from all walks of life doing so many different things. And I've already set up a few possible collaborations where we are going to work together one way or another to pay it forward somehow to various groups of people for the betterment of all. And I'm super excited about that. But as I have conversations with many of these men and women of all ages, all walks of life, I hear these ghost stories. And what I mean by that is they are telling these stories that are from their past, or they're telling themselves some story, some ghost story that is a limiting belief. It's something like, say for instance, they want to start a podcast, but they're like, I don't know, it's not about the technical stuff. It's rarely about the technical stuff, although that's in there as well. They want to know the technical stuff, but when I dig down deeper, it's not the technical stuff. It's they don't want to put themselves out there. They don't want to be wrong about their niche. They don't want to be wrong about their message. They don't want to have people look at them the wrong way. And they don't want to offend somebody, a certain group of people. Now listen, anytime that you're going to step out about any particular subject, you are going to alienate other people. For instance, one of the speakers that was speaking yesterday was talking about a podcast that he and his kid had started, and this podcast was around U.S. presidents. And then one of the listeners that was a listener to his shows and other shows that he's got felt that they were offended or left out because the show wasn't talking about or highlighting women. Well, hello, none of the U.S. presidents thus far have been women. Now, what they could do is go international presidents because there have been leaders in other countries. But this particular show was called U.S. presidents. And oh, by the way, they are also alienating not just women, but minorities other than President Barack Obama. They are alienating Asians, Hispanics, homosexuals, as far as I know, transsexuals, as far as I know. I mean, they're alienating so many different people by just talking about U.S. presidents. But listen, that's the topic. U.S. presidents. Now, had there been a woman U.S. president or an Asian U.S. president, then that would have been okay, right? It's preposterous. It doesn't make any sense to me. So whatever your message is for a specific reason, for a specific group of people. Another thing I saw yesterday, for instance, was it was an all black group. It was an all African American group. And I don't want to assume that they were all American. They were all dark-skinned people, and they were in a specific area, and they were doing interviews of just people that are dark-skinned. And it's a beautiful thing because these groups are coming together. And I had the opportunity to talk to some of those people. And I had an amazing conversation with many of them. And we're going to, a couple of them I'm going to collaborate with in one way or another. We have some great ideas coming up to share and to bring communities together. That's what it's all about, guys. It's all about getting your message out there. Don't be afraid of what it is that you want to do. Whatever dreams and goals that you have to get rid of those ghost stories. You have to quit telling yourself those limiting beliefs. Quit believing what other people are saying that, oh, you're not good enough. Who do you think you are to do this or that? I tried something like that when I was a kid, or your Uncle Eddie tried something like that when he was, doing this or that, and he didn't succeed. In fact, he lost a lot of money. People thought he was an idiot. Who cares about that? If you are passionate about what it is that you have to say, if you're passionate about your message, then get out there and tell it. Look, and there are so many ways to do that. You don't have to start a podcast. In fact, you can get on other people's podcasts, or you can go into your community. I don't know where else they do this, but I heard this term yesterday, and I went and participated. Well, I didn't participate, but I actually listened in to several speeches or several speakers do this thing called Pecha Kucha. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. I'm going to look it up. I still haven't looked up the term and where it comes from, but Pecha Kucha basically is a 5-minute speaking presentation. I'm assuming they're all 5 minutes because the ones yesterday were 5 minutes and they were just one after the other. And what happens is you provide your slides to the coordinator, and the coordinator puts the slides to a timer, and the slides flip through like every 10 seconds or however long your slides are, but the bottom line is it can only last 10 seconds and you don't have control of the slides. You as the speaker just speak through and tell your message, and if the slide changes, then you just go on to the next slide. So you have to have this rehearsed, you have to have it down, and it's 5 minutes. And it's one way that I know that this particular organization, Podfest, what they do is they use that Pecha Kucha to book their keynote speakers, because they get a really good message, they see how it's delivered, and it's just really precise and a lot of good information. So I must have sat through 6 or 7 of these Pecha Kucha speaking presentations, and man, I learned so much. It was like information overload, and the energy was just amazing. And it's just so cool to see people get up there. And I mean, one guy was a doctor who had gotten hit by a car, broke his back, and just had an amazing story about his child and how to support nonprofit organizations on your podcast. And there were just so much information. But I digress. The reason I bring that up is because it's just one other medium, another way for you to get out to the public and share your message and get used to doing that and seeing how it's accepted in public. And even though you got to pay attention to the audience that's there, if it's something that's super technical and you're in front of an audience that really isn't that technical, then they might not receive it as well. But doing something like that and getting on somebody's podcast, or starting a blog, or starting a YouTube channel, or even just doing Facebook Lives or Instagram Lives or whatever, then it gives you the opportunity to see what kind of feedback that you get and get used to putting yourself out there. Guys, get used to putting yourself out there. It is public speaking. They say, I've heard this said time and time again, that public speaking, most people fear it more than death. They would rather die than than stand up and speak in front of a group of Boy Scouts. The fact of the matter is, it's not the speaking part that you're afraid of. It's the judgment. It's the ghost story that you're telling yourself, that they're not going to accept me, they're going to talk about me, they're going to ridicule me, and the fact of the matter is, some of them will. But those are the insignificant people. They don't matter. Those aren't the people you're trying to reach. The one person in the audience of 200 that hears your message is the one you're trying to talk to. But I assure you, you will touch more. And what's more, you will change a life. by your just by your message, just by being there, just by showing who you are and being genuine in your person, and not caring about what the other people that you're not trying to hear your story, the other people that you're not talking to, don't worry about what they have to think about what you have to say, or who you are, or whatever your background is, or whatever your goals and dreams are for that matter. All right, guys, I got to get going. I got to get back in there, go watch some keynote speakers. I got John Lee Dumas speaking today. Talked with him a little bit yesterday. Pat Flynn's going to be talking later on this afternoon. Had a conversation with him yesterday, and man, we're just having an amazing time out here. And by the way, whatever industry you're in, I know you probably have a lot of education. You watch YouTube videos, you get more education because your industry is constantly changing. You absolutely must get to live events. There is an energy there. The networking is unbelievable. Absolutely must. I mean, there are so many things. I've watched Tony Robbins for many, many years on video. And when I finally attended a Unleash the Power Within live with Tony Robbins down by the stage and networking with everybody down there, the energy is simply infectious and it's unbelievable. There's nothing like it. Same thing here at PodFest. I'll definitely be back next year. I want to hit podcast movement. I want to try to get to as many events as I can, and I encourage you to do the same because it is life-changing, and it will change your business. It will change your career. It will change your relationships and your connections. Absolutely must. So go out, live your life of abundance, and guys, as usual, always